guys. We had a really crazy Thursday night. Couple of in-season tournament games. Indiana Pacers, Halliburton get it done. They ruined our bet there on the Milwaukee Bucks. That was our only bet, and luckily that was our only bet because leaning to the Pelicans. And what do you know? LeBron James turns back the clock again. His fastest game ever to get to 30 points. The fastest game ever by any Laker to get to 30 points. Just getting to an efficiency level and scoring at ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. 75% from the field, 100% from three. LeBron turned it up for this in-season tournament. And the craziest game of it all last night, Thursday Night Football, Zappy and the Patriots lace up against the Steelers. They pulled that one out. How about this Pittsburgh Steelers team all year long, John? They were outgained, and now they lose to 2-10 teams in a row.
I don't know where to start. So let's start with the football game. You're leaving off there. What I actually said in my chat last night is that we are officially in Bizarro world. Yeah. 21 points from the Patriots last night. 3 passing touchdowns. Do you know how far you have to go back to accumulate 3 passing touchdowns for the Patriots? They had scored a grand total of 13 points in their last 3 games. The Steelers had only given up more than 21 points only once since week 14, or since week 4 before this. That was last week to Arizona. So back-to-back weeks, as Ben said, 2-10 teams. Pittsburgh, one of the best defenses. This is a short week, and Zap goes and throws 3 touchdowns in the first half. Elliott's running like he was running and catching passes out of backfield like he was back in his Dallas heyday. Yeah. And then we get to LeBron, as Ben said, turning that back the clock like he was a rookie again. Just going 30 in 22 minutes. You just look, guys. So things that are happening are, like I said, just out of this world. You can't beat the Lakers. Any team that plays like that, they could beat anybody if they came with that game. How long can LeBron keep this up for? That's another question. As far as the other game, we lost. Milwaukee had basically owned the series with the Pacers. Yes, I know it's a different Pacer team, blah, blah, blah. They had owned the Pacers. They had a little revenge coming from getting beat earlier in the year. Milwaukee goes and scores 146 off the Knicks in game 1. Knicks at that point, before that, they were number 1 in points per game allowed. Then they go and score 119 against the team that gives up the most points. So it's just what so some of the squares. Well, if you're thinking this, you bet this. Right now, that's actually where we are. Whatever you think is going to happen is not. And again, we talked about our leans yesterday, guys. Leans are not official bets. So do not DM me on Instagram. You said we talk every day about our leans. If I had to bet, you have to either bet the over in the Pacers, Milwaukee, and the under in the New England Steelers. But there is no edge. The number's already where the numbers are supposed to be. So, yes, if I had to bet, but that's why it's called just a lean. Official bets are official bets. The one bet we had, Milwaukee, we laid 4 the day before. Game closed 5. And I have some idiots in my chat. You beat the number again, LOL. I don't know what's funny about that. Maybe you should get out of it, not only out of the chat, maybe you should stop becoming a member. If beating the number to you isn't what you think it's worth it, go find somebody that's just going to tell you to go lay 200 on a money line or use your own opinion. Get the guys getting a little unruly. Terrible NBA season so far. Let's see. Let's hope this thing turns around, but once again, just getting the better of the number. And that's what we're supposed to do. Mass's edge is going to give you an edge on the game. No crystal balls. We always tell you that. Maybe Vegas Dave's got a crystal ball. But maybe some of the frauds out there got a crystal ball. Never try to be one. What I tell you, I'm going to give you the best sports betting information you could get. Up to the minute injuries, statistics, trends, and I'm going to give you an edge on the game. From day 1 of the NBA season, if 3 lines have gone against us so far the entire year, it'd be a lot. And when those happen, it's because of injuries. Other than that, rough start to NBA. A lot of NBA left. We'll make a comeback. Hope you're with us to make it. Anyway, yesterday could be the topper. Like I said, New England It looked like Brady was at quarterback in the first half against the Steelers. I still can't get over 3 touchdowns. Tell me this, New England's going to win. It's not a shocker. Steelers are not a great team. You got to remember, they were going to Trubisky, which I don't think there's much of a fall-off, and I still don't. He didn't have a terrible game. Steelers just have a terrible offense. So tell me that the Patriots are going to win, great, but 3 touchdowns all in the first half? It's some crazy stuff. Big NBA card today, Ben, and we got a whole weekend of football. But let's get this NBA rolling.
Yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in. Obviously, these games got the second of the 2 games that got added to the schedules after the in-season tournament was finalized. We have the Raptors at Charlotte in this first game. Raptors coming off that loss at home to Miami. And then you have this Hornets team coming off that loss against the Bulls. Charlotte just not getting it done lately or at home. It's just been a theme the last couple of years. 3-7 straight up and against the spread at home. And Raptors had a lot of success here. They've won and covered 6 of the last 7 meetings. So bad home team, not the best road team, but Raptors have success in the matchup. Neither team playing well right now. Really don't want to get involved here, but just off matchup history alone, be Raptors or nobody.
Yeah, they got a little history with them, but Raptors, they've really let us down their last 2 home games, and they're a better home team than they are on the road. Let us down as a 1-point favorite, game close 4 against the Heat, and we really like them against the Knicks, and they fell flat there. They got to get on the road, and this could be their chicken soup game. Here's a team they've won 6 of the last 7 meetings, and Williams, the center, he missed his last game, questionable to be out tonight. But again, my line, if Williams is out with them, 5.5. That's what the line is right now. So for some of my guys out there, how do you make your line? How do you adjust? John, Toronto, 32.5 on the road. Charlotte, 28.5 at home. Toronto's a 4-point better. They got a little history matchup. Add in Williams questionable, and that's how you get the numbers, guys. It's really that simple. I know you guys don't know exactly how much to add or subtract for the situations, but just get a ballpark. You know it's going to lean that way. A lot of these games today are basically right off the numbers because nobody's back-to-back. Most of the teams, if one team played home, the other is played on the road, and now it's vice versa today. Yep. So you can get a good idea how the numbers work out today, and we'll go down the card with all the games like that.
Then we have Detroit going on to Orlando, make it 18 straight losses after their loss to the Grizzlies. I thought if they were going to break the trend, it was going to be then, and wasn't then. So they'll keep on going, and they got a pretty tough schedule coming up, starting off with Orlando, one of the hottest teams in basketball right now. They're coming off 2 road losses. They had the 9-game win streak. Boom, Magic lose 2 on the road, but at home this season, 9-1, 8-2 against the spread. They won both meetings in Orlando last year, and I refuse to bet the worst team in basketball against the hottest team. So this would have to be Magic or nothing, even with the double-digit points here.
Yeah, want no part of Detroit here. Also, Durant, he'll be out. He'll miss again in this game, but Suggs will be out for Orlando, so a couple of key players for each side out. Orlando's dropped their last 2. Those were both road games. Orlando had that red-hot streak, then went to Brooklyn, where that 9-game winning streak ended. Just watching some moves here. And then they go on to Cleveland, and they drop one there. So back home, and again, here's your chicken soup, and it comes in the form of the Detroit Pistons, as Ben said. 18 straight losses with not a W in sight. It just gets uglier. And this team, I just said it the other day, they're not even a playing team, but they shouldn't be this bad. They shouldn't be the worst team in NBA. I don't see that they're at their talent level, especially now with Bogdanovich back. He put up 20+ in his first 2 games back. Cunningham there. I like this kid Doran is going to be out tonight. Hayes, they got some players that, again, not even a playing team, but not this bad. 18 straight. Looks like 19 today, but do I want to lay double digits here? Probably not. So again, let me get back to it. So we had Detroit played at home. Orlando was on the road. They both had a day off. Now it's Detroit at Orlando. So numbers had to beat the book. Massa Edge guys. My road rating for Detroit, 26.3. Home rating for Orlando, 37.6. It's an 11.3 difference. Okay, not much else going on because they both had a day off. The travel's the same. So you got Doran out for Detroit. You got Suggs out for Orlando. Orlando's a little deeper, so the injury means a little more to them. So where I'm 11.3, I'm probably at 11.5, and this game's sitting around 10.5, 11. Again, not enough to take Detroit, but certainly not enough to lay Orlando. That, again, 1 point in a game that the line is 2, 3, 4 is one thing. 1 point a game that's double digits, a whole nother thing. So 1 point, half a point, not enough of an edge, but I'm 11.5. Again, just want to give you guys an idea how we're making the number on each of the games.
And we're going to have the Hawks at the 76ers. Trae Young is questionable with an illness. Got to see what's going on with him. I like the over in this matchup. Obviously, the thought on if Trae Young is out might take that away, but I actually like it a bit more. If he is out, I wouldn't mind it, and especially if that number, which would be expected to go down with him out, he's been very inefficient this year, shooting just barely over 40%. So you would expect that getting some of those shots out to other guys should be able to be picked up without too much of a drop-off. Not enough where the books are going to adjust. So I like the over in this game. A lot of trends to it. 3 of the last 4 meetings. 76ers last 5 all over, averaging 244. You have 2 teams here who are in the top 5 in scoring. Philly, they're coming off a win at Washington. Embiid, all he had was 50 points, 13 boards. And they've been getting it done at home this year, 7-3 straight up against the spread. Lean on the sides, Atlanta. If Trae Young is in, we'll be looking at that. But more so also to the over, with or without Trae Young. Just want a better number if he's out.
Yeah, I want to have Trae Young in there if I bet Atlanta and get a little home revenge. Philly went down to Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, 126-116. Atlanta has played decently at Philly. While Philly's won 3 of the 4 meetings, it's 2-1-1 against the spread. So I have a little home revenge coming up there. Again, numbers-wise, guys. Atlanta was home, 1 day off, and a loss to Brooklyn. Philly coming off a road win at Wash, so no big edge on the travel. Atlanta, 33.5 on the road. Philadelphia, 40.0 at home. 6.5 is the number. If you get 6.5 is the number, right now your number's sitting at 8, and that's your Trae Young, questionable. So if he's in, you're going to see that number go back down almost to the 6.5. If it's 6.5 or 7, it'll be. And if he's out, that number's going to go higher, 8.5 or 9. So with Trae Young legitimately questionable, it's right in the middle, right where it should be. You want to give Trae Young 2.5 to 3 points worth of value in this game. If it was 8 with him in, it's a take for Atlanta. Unless we're on top of it, if we beat the whole world with the injury, we're not going to catch the 8. 7.5, maybe a small bet with him at 7. The values of diminishing, so maybe plus 7.5. We can make a small bet with Trae Young in. If not, we'll pass on this one. Atlanta's been brutal on the road. Been brutal at home. A little better at home. Philly playing good basketball at home. Philly just got whole. In their last game. Remember, Embiid missed 2 games being sick. He comes back with a 50-piece. Maxey missed the game because he was ill. Batum missed a couple of games. And Kelly Oubre Jr. made his return after getting hit by a car. He missed a bunch of games. So this will be now their second game back. I expected them to be better in the second half. That's why we made a second half bet. If you guys caught us the last time I talked about this team maybe being a little rusty, coming out, Maxey and Embiid after missing game, Batum. Maybe they'll get it together in the second half. And they did offensively. They didn't defensively. Washington shot 53%, I believe, in the first half, and then went and shot almost 60% in the second half. So they got to tighten up that D. It'd be Atlanta or nobody. Depends on the number. Depends on Trae Young.
Yeah, you brought up there the illnesses with Philly. That's what it is, an illness with Trae Young as well. So maybe it gets one of those situations where on that day it ended up being Embiid and Maxey ruled out. Who knows? Maybe if it goes that route, because it is an illness, be careful with Atlanta. They also get Denver next at home. So
and we always say with the illness, just how it looked like it spread from Embiid to Maxey. You start getting, because if you guys remember the COVID era, that was just crazy. One guy on the team got it, all of a sudden you get 5-6 guys out, the contact, the whole bit. So yeah, same thing as an illness. Look, this is the time of year. Go put on the news. The whole country's got a cough or whatever's going on. So One guy gets it. They're all in the locker room together, so you got to be careful that doesn't spread. So we're on top of the injuries, and that's the main thing. That's sharps betting and injury info. That's what moves lines, gentlemen. That's it. That's what moves the line.
Next matchup, we have Wizards at Brooklyn. Wizards coming off that loss to Philly where they shot lights out 56%. They're just 2-10 on the road, but they are third best in the NBA, 8-4 against the spread. So not getting blown out on the road. Another decent sized price here on the road in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, 5-1 straight up against the spread their last 6. They're 9-2-1 against the spread at home. So a couple of teams both covering the situations. Nets, they've won and covered the last 5 meetings. This is going to be a lean here ever so slightly to Washington. They hung in there with Philly. But the way Brooklyn's been playing, they just seem to keep on getting it done. So I don't want to go against that. Not looking to lay this big price here. This is a game could be looking to get a live price.
Yeah, I can only want Washington in this game. So we got a little bit, as Ben said, Washington's been hanging around. Just backdooring some of them big numbers. They just stayed under the spread in the last game against Philly at home. Brooklyn playing real good basketball. You guys know we had them their last game, an outright win in Atlanta. This could be a little look-ahead game here, a little sandwich game. Coming home from Atlanta, coming off a nice road win. They're stopping here to play team Washington. They've beaten, covered them 5 straight. And that's the only thing that's stopping me from betting Washington here because after this game, they go out on a West Coast trip. So this could be after the big win, come home and let their guard down, and because they just did that against Charlotte. They had a nice little streak going, and then get stunned by the Hornets at home. So that's the only thing I could see happening here. And again, as far as the lines, guys, the Wizards 27.8 on the road. You've got Brooklyn 36.5 at home. So you're looking at an 8.7 difference. Only thing I'm tweaking here, Gafford questionable. He's the starting center for the Wizards. And then the 5-0 straight up and against the spread ownership that they've had. So just a little, but I think it's a little bit high, just a tinge high. 10, a decent number to take. But I'll wait on this game, like I said, just the 5 straight up and against the spread. That's the only thing that stopped me, and that includes 3 in Brooklyn.
Yeah, gauntlet West Coast trip coming up at that too. They start off in Sacramento and then Phoenix, Denver, Golden State. Obviously, Phoenix, second game on that trip. Mikal Bridges might have that one circled up on the schedule, so something to think about there as well.
Always remember, because the schedule has such a huge part in our betting and what we see as far as look aheads and letdown games, and what we talk about sandwich games. Just a big part of it. How many games are leading up, what their next games are, where they are. So that West Coast trip, you're coming off the road, one game, getting back on the road for that long West Coast trip. Just not the spot you want to be in a game that you might take lightly. You'd rather the Nets have against the Knicks or against the Celtics, a game you know that they have to get up for, right, as opposed to a game against the Wizards.
Then we have Cavs going on to Miami. Bam Adebayo missing his 3rd straight game. Heat get it done at Toronto. Caleb Martin starting to become more and more prevalent, especially as these guys, Hero and Adebayo, have been missing time. Heat, though, just at home, struggling 2-6 against the spread. They were 3rd worst against the spread at home last year as well. Cavs been playing a little bit of better ball lately. They're coming off a nice win against Orlando. They do have some question marks, though, here. Mobley questionable. Levert expected to miss another game as well. A couple of teams extremely shorthanded. We'll see who gets the best of them. They split meetings in Miami last year, but Heat coming off a big win in Cleveland earlier this season, John.
Just give me 1 sec. I'm checking on some stuff here. Yeah, okay, so Cleveland, this is our one bet so far today. And we laid it. We actually laid this one on the money line, minus 120. That's how I sent it out, because it was on the move as we were hitting it. So there was some games going to 1.5. So I wanted to make sure, regardless, money line minus 120. So if you had to lay, minus 125 even, it was at least worth the late. Some guys might have caught it at 115 when it was still 1 if you use the money line. But anyway, why'd we bet this one? A couple weeks back, Cavs are coming off an overtime game at Philly. Miami destroys them the next day in Cleveland, a 33-point beatdown. A revenge-minded Cav team will come in with this game as they'll be a little shorthanded. Getting the info right now. Wow, we might have a bad break coming. I thought Mobley'd be in when we saw something this morning, but now this line coming down. Actually coming down right now, so we'll get that info as we get back to you. But look, I'm still gonna like Cleveland in this spot. Huge revenge spot. Garland and Mitchell both finally had a good day on the same game in their last game against the Magic. So hopefully that's carrying over. Mitchell's such a key, and he'd been very spotty so far. He missed a couple of games, so we'll see what happens there. But we'll get back to you on this lineup. But with Bam out, well, Wendell Robinson played a nice game, by the way, up at Toronto. He's starting to play okay. So, but with Bam, he's not going to do the things that Adebayo do. But yeah, I still like Cleveland in this spot, even if we're without Mobley. Obviously, not as much of an edge if we had him. We're on the Cavs on that one.
Yeah, loss of Mobley, though, not as bad since there's no Adebayo as far as, where it would be affected the most. Then we have T-Wolves going on to Memphis. Very fascinating matchup here. They had that playoff meeting a couple years back that was rather intense. Obviously, John Morant was a part of that, who, by the way, a few games away from coming back. So this Memphis team getting hot right now, playing good ball, and they have something to look on to with the light at the end of the tunnel with him coming back. Minnesota, everyone knows, best team in the NBA record-wise, 8-1, 5-4 against the spread their last 9, coming off a nice win against the Spurs. Grizzlies, how about Desmond Bane? 49 points, 19 of 31 shooting. They had a nice little shooting performance from 3. Grizzlies right now 3-1, 4-0 against the spread. Their last 4, they're allowing just a 101 points per game in those 4. But they've had struggles at home. 1-8, 3-6 against the spread. They coming off their last home game was a win. They finally broke that curse. They go on a little bit of a run here. Are they due for some home wins? A lot of under trends. Both teams playing under ball. Both teams in the matchup, 6 of the last 7 meetings going under, and this has got to be home dog and the under in the spot all the way. Minnesota's been playing pretty good basketball lately, not quite as great on the road. We'll see if that drop-off continues. They match up well, Jaren Jackson, obviously, and this trip, next couple of games, I think Minnesota might be looking at a little bit more New Orleans and Dallas.
Yeah, so here's a game we had circles since many went to Memphis and beat them 119-97. This was a game I was hoping to take 7 in. BetOnline BetOnline's been beating DraftKings as far as putting the games up earlier. Yep. BetOnline posted this game up at 7.5, and in an instant was 6.5 before it even ever came up on DraftKings. We waited for this game to see if it would revisit the 7 number. It hasn't. And now it's actually ticked down to 6. But, yeah, like the way Memphis has been playing lately, and while Minnesota has been phenomenal at home, not great on the road. Still good, but not great on the road. A little home revenge. Memphis had owned them in Memphis, I believe, winning 7 straight prior to that beatdown a couple of weeks ago. So this was a spot for Memphis. It still is. It's even at 6, it's Memphis or nobody. But before I make it a bet, I need a little extra more than the 6.
And then we have Warriors at OKC. Just going to tell you right off the bat, this is a matchup trying to follow closely. Last 7 meetings all gone over 257 points per game. We'll be on that again. Golden State's been playing pretty low scoring, but when they have this matchup, they run and gun with them. There's a lot of heavy guard play. Warriors are coming off a tight win against the Blazers. Blazers have been playing better. Curry and Green, both solid games. Clay shooting brutal still, 3 for 11. They had 17 turnovers, so they're still not putting together complete games yet. We'll see if they can finally get back to anything close to what they used to be. They are 7-3 against the spread on the road. And then you have this OKC team who's playing phenomenal basketball. They are coming off that loss against Houston. They're now just 2-3 straight up against the spread their last 5. That's kind of all gone down since the Josh Giddey news and rumors. Doesn't seem like anything's coming of that. So hopefully that's behind them. We'll see how they continue trending. Weird matchup history. They met twice this year in Golden State, and OKC won both those games. Curry missed one of those games. Green missed both those games. They met for an in-season tournament game back early in the season in OKC, and Golden State won that one. Really weird matchup history to wrap your head around. We talked about it before. 2 teams trending opposite directions as far as overall in the NBA. This is going to be a lean to Golden State, but I like the over more so in this matchup.
Yeah, this is a different Golden State team. It's a Golden State team that is on their way down. Just look at their last few games. Big lead up at Sacramento, blow the game. Big lead against the Clippers, blow the game. Portland had to do what they needed to do to beat a Portland team, one of the worst teams in the NBA. Golden State really struggling. They'll go over to OKC tonight. OKC coming off a loss against against Houston. But my numbers right now, they've got this game at 3. I missed a couple of numbers on these last few games. But anyway, Golden State at 36 on the road. Now that they're basically back to full strength, Wiggins and CP3 both came back for the last game. OKC 39 at home. It's a 3 number. Both teams neither played yesterday. Again, Golden State coming from home, OKC coming from the road. And now it's flipped. So now you go to the history. Again, take now the history grain of salt. Golden State on its way down, OKC on its way up. But they have won. Warriors have won 10 of the last 11 in OKC. So if anyone, you got to give them a little bit of the edge. So just not ready to put the Golden State out of their misery and stick the knife in. I just think 3 is a fair number for this game. It's right at 3, and I'll be staying off this one.
Yeah, what Charles Barkley say last night to the former GM Bob Myers, he says, I give you credit for abandoning the ship before it sinks, and we'll see if Golden State has maybe any kind of reaction to that, if the ship will, in fact, continue sinking in OKC tonight. Then we got
still playoff or play, at least a play-in team in the West. There's no question about it, but they're just not a threat at this point in the West with the way this team is construed. CP3, terrible game coming back. Again, it was his first game. Him and Wiggins both had bad games. Let's see if they bounce back off a terrible outing against a weak Portland team.
They bet on Jordan Poole to be part of that future with Wiggins moving forward. They've lost on that bet, and they try to make a best of a bad situation, getting Chris Paul and kind of go all in for the near future, forget about the long term, and it's just kind of been trickling down since then. So we'll see what happens with them tonight.
Poole actually had one of his better games in the last game against the 76ers, so maybe he'll come out of that funk. But, the Golden State look, no matter how you slice it, they're a team that's down. They're not up at the upper echelons. We'll see what happens at the trade deadline. Is it time to blow it up? We'll see.
Bulls at Spurs. Speaking of trade deadline, Zach LaVine going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with foot inflammation, which is curiously timed with when the trade deadline will be. So he's on a trade deadline inflammation. That's also people saying, making sure he's healthy for it. But they've been playing good without him. They've won all 3 games, 2 of them impressive, Bucks and Pelicans, last one against Charlotte. Problem is all at home as well. They've been brutal on the road this year, just 1-8, 2-7 against the spread. And if you look at it, the matchup history, San Antonio, they lost their last 3 trips to San Antonio. So bad road numbers, bad history at San Antonio. Can the Spurs snap a 15-game losing streak? I thought the Pistons the other night had a chance to snap theirs. They failed. It's tonight a night that the Spurs get theirs fixed.
This could be it. They've had history on their side at San Antonio. Bulls not playing well on the road. A couple of great wins that they had. But this could be it. Even though San Antonio's dropped their last 15, they're hanging around these last few games. They fought Minnesota tough. Actually had a lead at halftime in Minnesota. If this game hits 3, I'll definitely take the Spurs as long as we don't find nobody out. Might even be a play at 2.5. Spurs and nobody is a home dog against the Bulls team that has showed me absolutely nothing on the road this year. Decent at home these last few games without LaVine. Only thing here is you get DeRozan going back to San Antonio. He played a couple of seasons there. To me, his home is Toronto, but we'll see how he shows up at San Antonio. But would only want the Spurs, who I know gotta want to break this streak tonight, and it's a chance for them to do so. So I take the bucket at home against the Bulls or no one.
We have Rockets going on to Denver. Houston coming off that home win against OKC the other night. This is a Rockets team. They just can't get it done on the road right now. They are the only team in the league not to win a road game. 0-8, 3-4-1 against the spread. Granted, they've been, I think it's 3-1 against the spread the last 4, so they've been hanging in a bit better lately. And that includes a backdoor cover on the number against Denver. Now, the last time they played in Denver, that line, obviously opened up 4 as, more guys became probable. Fred VanVleet came out for Houston, went all the way up to 10.5, and they hung right in there with 10. Nuggets, they just own this matchup in Denver. They've won the last 10 meetings there, 7-2-1 against the spread by an average of 11.9 points. And they're play much better in Denver. Jokic the other night shot 9 for 32 on the road in the loss at LA. On the season, they're scoring almost 13 more points per game at home. So just such a better team there, Jokic included. What could only be the Nuggets with the matchup history. And I believe going back to last season, they're now 29-1 the last 30 home games.
So these last 2 games, again, this is why when we talk about ratings, it's so important to be rated at home and away. That's the only way to make up. That's the only way to be a handicapper. I laugh at people that call themselves a handicapper when they're just betting teams. You've got to make a line to be a handicapper. If you don't have lines at home and away, you're not making lines. So Bulls, I have the Bulls a 4-point difference between their road rating and their home rating. And Denver, I've got a league high 5 points better at home than they are on the road. And Ben just gave you the stats. So when we look at the Sagan ratings, let's say, their computer ratings, and they just say give every team 2.43, whatever the points are today, it's actually insulting. Every team is different, okay? The Knicks have got no different on the road than I do at home. Charlotte Hornets, no different. Portland, maybe 0.2 of a point better at home than on the road. So you can't say they all get the same number. Yeah, 2.4 something is probably the average, but that's because I got Denver, a team like Denver 5, and some other team 0. There's your 2.5. But anyway, Denver at home, different team. Rockets at home, also different team. I've got them 4.4 better at home. Winning and covering at home. Covering most of the games, but not getting the W on the road. My number here is higher. My number here is 11. So they came up with a little bit of a low number because Murray just going to be questionable just about every day. He came back after an injury, played a game, missed 2, played the next one, and in LA at the Clippers, they lost that one, played sparingly there. Expect him to play a little more tonight now that he's going to play, and that's why my number is a little higher. Again, 11. The game is sitting at 9. That's not the same 2 points I want to lay as 3-5 or 1-3. So when I see 9, do I want to lay 9 with Denver? A team that's going to put Jokic on the bench when you get up double digits, even though we go by this history, Rockets have lost their last 10 trips to Denver, just 2-7-1 against the spread. So no interest at all in Houston. Denver or nobody, but do you want to lay that price going to have to win by double digits?
We have a interesting Western Conference matchup. Clippers at Utah. Clippers coming off a couple of nice wins. Last one against Denver. Before that, they came from behind to beat Golden State. Problem is they're just 3-7 straight up and against the spread on the road. Utah, pretty excellent, 6-4, but 8-2 against the spread at home. So bad road team versus a great home team in this matchup. You look at the matchup history, all the Jazz have done. They're 12-1, 10-2-1 against the spread. Last 13 meetings in Utah, including a win earlier this year. They're just banged up. Clarkson, Olynyk, both questionable. Marketing, he's ruled out. So do you want to bet a banged-up Utah team, even though all the trends point that direction, and it's Jazz or nobody all the way? If Clarkson in, it's enough for me to get on Utah.
Yeah, would need Clarkson at least. Do not want to come back with this team, but expect the Jazz to come with a game after getting humiliated by 50 in Dallas. Yeah. And they've absolutely owned this matchup. They've already beat them there once this year. They've won the last 5 in Utah by a combined 88 points, but don't want to do it if I'm again without Clarkson. We already know Markkanen's going to be out. Look, I said it the other night. Clippers, have they found it? Have they found the ingredients now? Or have they turned it around? A couple of big come-from-behind victories. This last one against Denver, another team that had absolutely owned them. Can they make it 2 in a row, beating Denver, who would own them, and going to Utah, where they never win and getting a W? That would say, okay, looks like this Clipper team is just a ton of talent. Like Harden, hate Harden, the guy is still talented. He's not the James Harden that was. But the James Harden that was one of the best offensive players ever. So if he's down a couple of notches, he's still one of the best NBA players in the game today, okay? Not the best, but one of the best. You put that along with PG. You put that along with Kawhi. That's a dynamo team over there. So
hell, if you look at their bench, that bench of Westbrook and Norman Powell, that's what they had in the playoffs last year, and everyone was hurt. That was their 2 stars in the playoffs last year.
Westbrook and Norman Powell, absolutely. I mean, look, they're I like that they brought Thies over now because they had lost Plumlee, who gives Zubik some nice minutes from behind him. Thies has had a couple of decent games. So yeah, look, the Clippers, if they put it together, they can cause some problems. Again, 2 big come-from-behind victories. The last one against Denver, a team that usually beats them. Can they go into Utah, where they never win, and get it done tonight? If they can't get it done tonight against the Utah team that's decimated, if both Clarkson and Olynyk are out, then, hey, it's back to the drawing board. We'll see. Utah or nobody if they've got Clarkson in.
And we're going to have Mavs at Portland. Mavs obviously coming off that ridiculous game against the Jazz. Luka Doncic, first half, triple-double. He's just going crazy. A couple of the wings there, Williams and Green, they're both going to remain out. Portland, they're going to be missing some wings as well. Grant's out and Ayton out. Brogdon questionable. So very shorthanded Portland team, but they've been playing pretty good ball. 5-1 against the spread. Their last 6 here. You look at the matchup history from last year. Both teams won at home. Portland, they won both. Blazers won both in Portland by 17 points each. So we'll see what we get with this matchup. Mavs coming off a monster game, and they're going to get another shorthanded team here in the Blazers. Or they just get a couple of layups in a row. I lean Portland on this game. Going to need at least Brogdon in this matchup. Obviously, missing the other 2 guys hurts a bit. I will say they're a bit beneficial. It's against this Dallas team, not the biggest of teams out there.
Yeah, I don't think we're going. Look, you're not going to have Grant or Ayton. They're going to be out. And Brogdon's paper mache. Anytime he's questionable, you can mark him down as doubtful. Don't think you're going to have him. What you do have is Anthony Simons. He came back his last game. Shooting was a little off, but he got his points. Look for him to be better this game. Portland coming home off a great road trip. They knocked down the Cavs as double-digit dogs. Who else did they knock down as double-digit dogs? And another one is a double-digit dog. They went to Milwaukee, had the lead. I mean, they blew it. They blew a 20-some-odd point lead, and Milwaukee came back to win that game. But they covered that game. Then they go to Golden State to finish. Or they go to Utah, take Utah to overtime, and then go to Golden State, give Golden State everything you could want, shorthanded, whatever. They love the way Portland's fighting. I mean, they're really fighting. But again, you're going to definitely be without Ayton. You're going to definitely be without Grant. Brogdon probably going to be out. This is a shorthanded Portland team. Last year, Dallas goes to Portland and gets drilled both games back-to-back in one of these 2-game series by a combined 34 points. Those were the last 2 times they met. Dallas will keep that in the back of their mind. So this could be a Dallas crush job. Want no part of Portland at home. They've been good on the road, not so much at home.
Now we have the 2 in-season tournament leftover games. Knicks at Boston, Kings at Phoenix. Knicks give a $146 to the Bucks, allow them to shoot 60%. Ridiculous. Celtics couldn't get it done there against Halliburton. They were missing Porzingis. He's going to return tonight. We'll see if that gives them some help here. They are 9-0, 6-3 against the spread at home. Tough to break. Knicks, they've had success at Boston last year. They did lose at Boston earlier this season. They've won 2 meetings this year. Would lean here to the Knicks in this matchup. Just don't want to go against what the Celtics are doing at home, just like Denver. 9-0, 6-3 against the spread. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I would have bet this game if not for the last game that the Knicks played. All of the Knicks stats, their road stats, the way their defense had been playing. Again, we talked about it. Knicks went into the in-tournament game at Milwaukee, allowing the fewest points per game until the Bucks hang a $146 on them. That being said, they've fought the Celtics tough last year, winning both games at Boston, one in overtime, one in double overtime. Yep. We expected another tight game. The last trip that they went to Boston, we bet them, and then it was Barrett was a late scratch with a migraine headache. Knicks had the lead at halftime. We jumped off the game because without Barrett, and Boston got them done in the second half. So again, I have had this game circled again since then. But after that terrible performance defensively, I'm a little weary on this game. Randall, he's picked up his game back then. Randall wasn't playing good ball. He goes for 41 last night. Again, you tell me Randall would have went 41. Would have absolutely says, okay, I don't want to call it a lock, but I like the Knicks' chances. Anyway, Porzingis is coming back for Boston tonight. He's been out for about 2 weeks now, so he's expected back tonight. We'll see how they break him in. Remember, Boston, thin team. I believe second in bench scoring. Second worst in bench scoring, 29th in bench scoring. So if they get Porzingis, that's back. But how many minutes are you going to give him? Knicks are nobody in this one. But with Porzingis coming back, their last game would need more. Plus 7.5 is the number I would take with the Knicks in this one.
And then the last game here, Kings at Phoenix. Kings obviously lost to the Pelicans the other night. How bad did the Pelicans look last night? And then you have the Suns. They're coming off that tight loss to the Lakers. Had a chance, couldn't get it done. Booker and KD in that one, 12 of their 20 turnovers. Kevin Durant and Grayson Allen going to be missing out this game here for Phoenix. Obviously still no Beal, so we'll see what Devin Booker can get done here. They do have Golden State and then Brooklyn next. So both of Kevin Durant's other teams there looking onward next. So we'll see if that's what they're looking at. The Kings, pretty good on the road. I mean, both these teams, Kings 5-5 on the road, Suns 5-5 at home. Matchup history, they split 4 meetings last year. Kings, though, 3-1 straight up against the spread, last 4 at Phoenix. Sack or nobody. No Durant, no Allen. Booker, he's been up and down since he's been dealing with his little ankle injury. He doesn't look 100%. It's going to be tough, I think, for him to carry the team tonight.
Yeah. So let me give you my ratings. I skipped a couple of times. So in this one, Sack 36.7 on the road, and at home, Phoenix 38.7. That's with KD and Allen in there. So I've got Phoenix as a 2-point favorite. These teams are pretty split. They split 4 games, each winning 1 at home, 1 on the road last year. So no real edge in that one. Both coming off losses. So my number would be Phoenix 2 with Durant and Allen. Well, flip the script. Durant and Allen are out. So let's make Sack 2.5 or thereabouts. What's the line? It's 2. Again, this is just how the lines are done. Simple day. That's why I wanted to show these today, because without back-to-back, one team back-to-back, the other team fresh, you don't have to figure that out. Again, that's a whole different metrics. As far as the other games that we had talked about, Dallas had 36.5 on the road. I've got Portland 27.5 at home. Portland's rating with Ayton and Grant already out, not with Brogdon. Brogdon questionable. So I'm already Dallas 9. Brogdon out, I'm a little higher than 9. And I don't want to call it revenge, but the 2 beatdowns that the Blazers gave Dallas last year at Portland, maybe a little something there. So I'm more like 10 with Brogdon out. Again, do you want to lay 8 on the road? And you still have to know if Brogdon's in or not. So again, guys, just real quick look at my numbers. Clippers, same thing. Clips 36 on the road. Utah 29 at home. That's with Clarkson and Markkanen out. Clips 7 better. Okay, so the line should be 7 there with those guys out. It's a little bit higher. That's why if Clarkson in, I could take a shot with a Utah team that's on them there. That's pretty much how we make the numbers.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be a lot of injury, a lot of question marks on this card today. If you guys want those updates throughout the night, massaedge.com or download the Massa Edge app. John, a little bit of a shaky night last night. We did get in the green a little bit on Wednesday. Hopefully we can heat things up this weekend, especially with some football coming up.
Yeah, and to my guys out there that I hope we don't try to get this all back in one shot. We don't try to get anything back in one shot. 3-unit bet. That was our bet yesterday. Milwaukee Bucks. Line goes 4-5. We had a couple of leans. We had the discipline. I had guys in the chat begging, how about the game? How about the football? What, you got a lean? Yeah, I had leans. If you've watched the show, I've got leans. If you read the previews, I got leans, but not enough to make it a bet. If you're not disciplined, we can give you winners every day. You will fuck it up and blow money. Discipline. Some of the best bets are the ones you don't make. And that was the case yesterday. Could have easily went under in the Patriot game. Could have easily went over in the Pacer game. But there was no edge there. All the stats said go that way. But again, our numbers were too close. You have to have an edge. Again, the guys that are LOLing, you beat the number. That's the only thing it's about. Anything else, you're just guessing.
Yep, long-term members, you guys are playing with house money, so you guys know the deal. Anyone who's jumped on recently, want to use the mush, you guys can leave. Everyone else will get through this little cold streak here sooner than later.
That's it, guys. One bet so far today. A couple of leans. Again, get the right info, get the right line movement. Could be a couple more. And a big NBA card. We'll be watching NBA all night tonight. I will go out for a little dinner because I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, so I'll take a little break. Ben will keep me up to date on that hour or so that I take a little break of. But other than that, we'll be watching some NBA, so could be halftimes. And just we're waiting for the NFL reports. As soon as we get off of here, just some news that just came across. They just listed Lawrence, the Jacksonville quarterback, as questionable. Both him and Bethard are questionable. This is how important the injuries are. So it looks to me like Lawrence is out. I don't know how he's going to come back. I thought he was gone for the season from that injury. Now they're saying he's questionable. Now this could be coach speak and, mind games. They got to get ready for Lawrence. But we'll see later in the day, Friday, to get a better idea. But they can go from Lawrence being back to Lawrence and Bethard both being out and down to a 3 quarterback. So again, injuries so important. It's the line movement and it's injuries, and that's how we're going to do. That's how we're going to get this thing going again.
Yep, and one more thing, we'll find out who Shohei Ohtani lands this weekend. So to anyone out there, apparently
it could be as early as today. So
find that out. Hopefully that's one of your fan bases out there. We'll see the best player in baseball. We'll see where that's going. John, hopefully we head on the right track this weekend. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe below. Let's make some money.